What's up, everybody? Welcome back for another edition of Bets and Ball Games with Edwards and Greeson here at Southeastern 16. We have got a new sponsor for our show, my man Andy Ludecke. Are you an experienced entrepreneur looking to diversify, or are you an employee that's simply tired of answering to the man? If so, let me tell you about our guy, Andy Ludecke, and his business, myperfectfranchise.net. Like you, Andy had it with corporate America. He was married with one kid and another on the way. He wanted to start his own business and did just that. Now he has multiple businesses, big red trash company and a gutter company, and he can help you do the same thing. Here's how it works. You go to Andy's website, myperfectfranchise.net. You set up an intro call, a 1-hour consultation, and best of all, it's 100% free. You tell Andy about your passions, skills, goals, and the time and money you have to invest in this endeavor. Then Andy figures out for you what sort of business fits your DNA. He registers you with potential franchises. He'll find the best franchise that suits the vision and corporate culture you want. And before you know it, you'll be on your way, and Andy will have you making greenbacks galore. So what are you waiting for? Reach out to Andy at myperfectfranchise.net. All righty, let's get going. My man Jay Greeson joining us from headquarters of the Chattanooga Times Free Press. Happy Friday, buddy.
And to you, it is, it feels like we're tippy-toeing very, very close to football season, but it also feels like we're sprinting. I mean, practice is everywhere. The Olympics are about to wrap. High school football starts in a lot of places, if not this Friday night, next Friday night. It is a fun time to be a sports fan unless you are a diehard Atlanta Braves fan.
Oh, our Braves struggling. I pay no attention anymore.
Oh, yeah. The Brewers beat them. The Brewers beat them like they showed up to a Miller Lite bar with a 6-pack of Bud Light. So it got one-sided in a hurry this week.
Are they still leading the wild card or no?
No. They are now out of a playoff spot.
They are fading fast, sounds like. All right. Okay. Let's talk some Olympics. You've been a little more on top of that than me, although hell of a ball game yesterday afternoon. The floor is yours, brother.
Well, it was enjoyable to watch yesterday afternoon for a multitude of reasons. One, I think you kind of got to go back in perspective and through history. And while Charles Barkley was quick to remind us that they were going to kill Angola and do the Mike Tyson and beat Bolivia into oblivion and do all of those things, and they did, but it really opened up basketball to the world. And then you take a step back, brother, and LeBron James is probably no longer the greatest player in the game. The best players in the game are foreigners. Giannis, Joker. Yeah. I mean, you look back and these guys, the guy that is leading the French team into Saturday's gold medal game, Victor Wembanyama. I mean, he's one of the guys that they put a future face on this league. My boy in Dallas, whose name just flew directly out of my head, wears 77.
Luka.
Yeah, Luka on the third floor. But, I mean, the Dream Team did that. The Dream Team put tentacles to the world, and Serbia should have won the game last night. I mean, Serbia was up 17 in the second half, and it took Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, LeBron, Joel Embiid going 4 for 4 over one stretch in the second half or in the fourth quarter. I mean, it was the thing that made me truly enjoy it as much as any basketball game I have seen that did not include Auburn in a long, long time. Was you're talking about guys like LeBron and KD and Steph and guys who've made not just millions, but hundreds of millions of dollars doing this. And they truly looked as passionate as 12-year-old sixth graders playing for a county championship. And it was endearing. And I found myself cheering for guys. I mean, I don't like KD. I really don't even like LeBron. But I mean, I found myself sitting on my couch going, USA, USA, go get them. I mean, it was great. It was great theater. And that is something that so many times we misplace, we misremember, we misconnect with what sports is supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we like college basketball so much better, because college is like that, like always, usually.
Well, it is. And I mean, and upsets are unpredictable and upsets are fun. And I mean, it's called the Never Ending Basketball Association for a reason, because by the time you get to late January, who knows? All right, there are like 3 or 4 phrases out there. When guys of our age and younger say the planet Uranus, it makes us giggle. When somebody says the NBA strategy of load management, it makes us giggle. I mean, it is what it is. So, but that with the track and with the diving and all of this stuff wrapping up, and I stand by what we said 2 weeks ago. Mike Tirico is the best guy with a microphone in his hand on the planet right now.
Yeah, I love that guy. Love that guy. Hung out with him. I think we actually talked about this, so I won't remind our listeners. Anywho, yeah, Steph was on fire early, and my guy Bogey Hawk was playing good for Serbia as well. So heck of a game. I'm not.
Hey, when the horn sounded, he pulled his shirt over his head. Dude was in it, and he was giving Carmelo Anthony an earful, because every time Bogey pulled up, man, it was nothing but bottoms.
Yes, that guy can shoot. He's a player. I love him. Hawk. Okie dokie. Let's talk about CJ Baxter. Huge injury for Texas. So Jonathan Brooks goes pro. Baxter has some, really good games late in the year, and was set. It was going to be his turn to be the bell cow in Sarkisian's offense. He was a true freshman last year. He ran for 659 yards and 5 touchdowns, averaged 4.8 yards per carry. But let's remember, Jonathan Brooks, he didn't get hurt till the 10th game, and he had in 9 games and change, he had 1,139 rushing yards, 10 touchdowns, 6.1 yards per carry average. So, that's what Baxter was playing behind for 10 games. Then the first game without Brooks, Baxter, wait a second. I'm trying to, oh yeah, he had 117 rushing yards on 20 carries and led the Longhorns to a 26-16 win at Iowa State as a 7.5 point or a 7.5 point road favorites. In that overtime game against K-State, which was a hell of a game, that was when Brooks was still healthy. Baxter had 10 carries, 90 rushing yards, and 1 touchdown. And in the CFP loss to Washington, he had 64 rushing yards, 1 touchdown on just 9 attempts. So Phil Steele's national unit rankings had Texas number 10 at the running back position coming into the year. But now the expected bell cow is gone for the season. So, look, I just think their room for error is very minimal now at that position. I think they'll be okay if Jaden Blue can stay healthy for 12 games and change. But that's a big if, with him having to carry a big load now. So Blue, he is a junior. 398 rushing yards last year, 3 touchdowns, 6.1 yards per carry. Also had 14 catches for 135 yards and 1 touchdown. In the regular season finale, obviously, after Brooks was out, Blue had 121 rushing yards, 1 touchdown on 10 carries. in the CFP loss to Washington. He had 59 rushing yards, 1 touchdown on 9 carries, and also had 4 catches for 45 receiving yards. So Jaden Blue can play, but here's the thing. If he gets hurt, now, okay, you're really down to basically 2 guys. One's a true freshman who's never taken a snap. And according to 247 Sports Composite, Jarrett Gibson was the nation's number 3 running back. He was out of IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida, that is, obviously. 4-star prospect, number 12 player in the state of Florida, country's 79 overall prospect. He was in for spring, so that's good. And then the other guy with a little bit of experience was a freshman last year, Trey Wisner. So Blue will be the starter. Wisner will compete with the true freshman Gibson for the RB2 role. And Wisner had 73 rushing yards on only 12 attempts last year, 6.1 yards per carry. So big injury for Texas. And I think they'll be okay if they stay healthy in the backfield. But, I mean, how likely is that to go 12 games and change with none of your running backs getting banged up? Very unlikely. So this could spell trouble.
Well, we talked about it when we were going up and down their roster about how many just truly elite skill position dudes they lost to Sunday. So, but I think honestly, there was a real leadership moment here. And I pray somebody writes the story that the first time they get in the huddle after Baxter's injury, Quinn Ewers looks around and goes, "You my boy, Blue." And then they get all together and they get fired up. And, I mean, he galvanizes the entire crew to a place that Blue's now the dude. I mean, Blue's the man.
You my boy, Blue. Yeah. He better be. He better stay healthy, too.
Yeah, he better be drinking a lot of milk is what better be going on, and taking a couple of vitamins because, hey, I mean – you're one rolled ankle away from it just being 5 wide, and here we go.
Yeah. Hey, Quinn might be fired up about that. Arch might be fired up about that too. So we shall see. All right. Did Montrell Johnson? Right. Okay. I'm not sure if we hit on it last week or not, but we're going to hit on, excuse me, we're going to hit on it again. So Montrell Johnson, with Trevor Etienne going to Georgia, Montrell and Etienne split carries the last 2 years. So Montrell was ready for a big increase in workload, ready to be the bell cow, and he's still going to be. But he had an injury, had his knee scoped. I think it was August 3rd or 2nd when he got it scoped. Talked to my buddy, Dr. Michael Gilmore, one of the best ortho surgeons in the Southeast. All SEC Gator safety in the early 90s, lives right down the street from me. He said 3 to 4 weeks. And so I think if the surgery was August 2nd or 3rd, the game's the 31st. So that's like 4 weeks. That's like right at 28 days. So I would call Montrell questionable for Miami. Obviously a monster game, and we'll see if he's back. If he's not back, Florida, not much experience in the backfield. So Treon Webb, 4-star recruit in the 2023 class, true freshman last year, showed nice burst, but only 163 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns on just 26 carries. 6.3 yards per carry average, but just didn't get much in the way of carries. So Florida has a JUCO transfer, Jacoby Jackson, and 2 true freshman running backs, Kanan Daniels and Jaden Baugh, that they're high on, but they're true freshmen. And then there is Cam Carroll, a 7th-year transfer from Tulane who was hurt in 2022 at Tulane and then blew his knee out last August. So he's trying to work his way back. He's got experience, but I'm not sure how healthy he is. And I think the true freshmen are kind of ahead of him. So something to monitor with the Gators going into that monster opener against Miami, 3:30 Eastern. Most books have Miami at -2.5 or -2, the total 54 or 54.5. I'll put you on the spot here because I'm not sure if we've talked about it. what you like in that Florida Miami game? Do you have a?
I don't trust Miami. I got burned too many times by Miami last year, and I'm not saying Florida has. Billy Bob has not done a whole lot to really. I mean, I'm not going to loan him money anytime soon. Not that he's going to ask me, because he's got a really good contract that's going to pay him a whole lot of money whenever he gets fired. But my question for you is, if it's even a coin flip, you don't play Harrell in week 1. It's not a league game. He is as important a guy that I'm aware of on the Gators roster. No, I mean, you don't want to. I mean, you don't want 3/4 of this guy. You want 3/4 of the season.
Yeah, he's got 2,496 career rushing yards, 27 touchdowns, 5.3 yards per carry average. Last year, he had 817 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns, 5.4 yards per carry average. And Texas is way better off than Florida. Compared to Florida, if Johnson were out for the season, Texas's depth is way better than Florida's. I mean, Florida would be looking at a JUCO transfer, hadn't played for UF, 2 true freshmen, and Cam Carroll, the Tulane guy, who we don't really know how healthy he is now. All right, so let's get in. Oh, and I'll also mention the Notre Dame left tackle replacing Joe Alt, the first-round pick. He is out for the season. So Notre Dame lost a very key O-lineman. In fact, I was listening to a podcast. Shout out to my guy Tim Murray at VEASAN, his college football podcast, which you can go check out. He's had a lot of good shows this summer, previewing different conferences and stuff. Highly recommend it. But anyhow, he had the Athletics Notre Dame beat writer, who his name is escaping me at the moment. I want to say his last name's Sampson. Anyhow, I was listening to it the other day, and the beat writer said if he had a top 5 of guys Notre Dame could not afford to lose, that this offensive tackle would have been number 3 or number 4. So big loss for Notre Dame. All right, let's talk some Cruton news. Auburn, not the 25, but the 26 class, is currently ranked number 1 with 6 commits. And Tennessee got the number 1 player in the country, Faison Brandon, Greensboro, North Carolina, 6'3.5". 197. He is a rising junior in high school, and he committed to the Tennessee Vols, and it matches up right when Nico will be going pro. Looks like Josh Heupel set at the quarterback position for the next 5 years.
Oh, and I mean, all right, first, normally you're our stat guy, but in 14 starts as a sophomore, Brandon completed 69% of his passes for a little over 3,000 yards, 36 TDs, and 3 picks.
Wow, that's a sophomore. Yeah. That's tough.
As a sophomore,
that's
and
that's really good.
Is a guy who looks the part. And here's the other thing that we've all heard these college coaches say, and it makes all the sense in the world. When you get that linchpin quarterback, all the other skill position dudes are going to follow that guy because they want to play with a quarterback who can help them win. So
him committing this early is huge.
Every time Faison Brandon goes to a 7-on-7 thing for the next 18, 20 months, he's now the best recruiter on Josh Heupel's staff.
Yep. And they should kill it in wide receivers in that class. And it'll help them get wide receivers in this 2025 class. Well, they want to come for Nico also. This is huge. This is monster get for the Vols. And that's just a great point. Getting this commit so early, he can do all the recruiting for them. Yeah, that's a great point. Auburn, you want to talk about anything with 26 Auburn, or?
Well, I think the one thing that must be discussed is earlier this month, Auburn got and this is for the 2025 class. Hugh Freeze and those guys are crushing it for 2026. And as you said, according to some, have the top recruiting class in the country. But there was Jared Smith is a 6'6", 240-pound edge rusher who's the number 2 edge rusher and the number 19 overall prospect in the country from a suburb south of Birmingham. And he picked Auburn. And even more notably, Alabama wasn't in his top 5.
Wow. Oh, he must have grown up in Auburn.
You remember a 5-star coming out of Birmingham area that didn't even at least have Alabama in the top 5.
Franchione era?
Maybe. Mike Price, he's only there for like 45 minutes and it's already rolling, baby. I mean, I don't know, but I mean, the one thing I know was very real about the disastrous Brian Harsin era was he thought he could bring West Coast players into the South and compete. And he got punched in the nuts over and over and over again because it just doesn't work. Dude, we got better players down here.
Yeah, it don't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Hey, Brian's with a Y?
Yes.
Always a major red flag.
Hey,
always.
It's like Jeff's with a GEO. You just having a hard time.
That's right. Now, to the 5 to 8% Brian's with the Y's that are good people, my apologies.
Yes.
90% of Brian's with the Y. Yikes.
Geoffs. Hey, yeah. Hey, keep being better you. Okay, keep elevating the opinion of the Geoff and the Brian's with the Y. We got you.
All right, let's talk about our good friends at Bet Online, the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything online sports betting. Right now, you can receive a 50% free bet of up to $250 on your first deposit to bet on anything from the Olympics to baseball to Formula One racing or the UFC and the Octagon. Bet Online has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Use promo code BELIEVE, that's all caps, BLEAV, for your 50% free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. Bet Online. The game starts here. I have a question for you because I haven't bet any Olympics, but in the first half when Serbia was up by double digits yesterday, I went into my account. I was not getting a live line for the Olympics. Had you tried that?
I did try it. I was looking around, and I'm curious. I've actually made a phone call to a couple of the Tennessee providers who I have a relationship with because I write Jay's Plays, which is an afternoon gambling email, because I try to report on some of this stuff. There are so many of these things, Brian, that are tape delayed that I think a lot of these people are terrified to try to put any type of live number out there.
That makes sense.
I mean, you probably wrestle with that some with MMA, depending on if somebody's got some broadcast issues, if somebody gets hurt in a late fight, and I mean they're so skittish about trying to trot out something that could be exploited that I think they've probably lost hundreds of millions of dollars in gambling opportunities because it's been wall to wall on TV all over the place.
Right.
And it's in a great window because I love the British Open because I love betting the British Open from like 6 a.m. to before I have to go to work. I mean, I'm drinking a cup of coffee and I'm going, all right, Tommy Fleetwood, bogey. Oh, damn it. That's a great window opportunity, but I can really see some of their hesitation.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. Absolutely. Only one of my 3 accounts offers live UFC betting, and I feel like I have like 15, 30 seconds tops to bet it between rounds. And there's been a couple times where I've tried to bet it, and you do your password and all that, and then you send it. Nah, it's off the board.
All right,
So,
all right. In the universal 100% truth, in those 15 or 20 times you've tried to bet in those 15 or 30 seconds, if you got turned away 20 times, you were 19-1. Guaranteed.
Probably.
Guaranteed.
Probably. I probably was.
I mean, it's guaranteed.
I definitely remember being pissed a few times.
There you go. Damn it. I had that one. Oh.
Right.
FanDuel.
Okay. Right. Okay. So our friends at Bet Online that we just talked about, they've added some season props for. I was hoping we'd get over under because me and Jay are still looking for that KJ Jefferson rushing prop. And if any of our listeners have found it, please let us know. There's our Twitter addresses right there under our names. Let us know if you see a KJ Jefferson prop. And actually, I'm going to get to Vegas Friday, August 30th. So I need to be looking into that in Vegas to get a bet. Hopefully UCF doesn't start with a Thursday night game. Surely not.
You play any cards when you go to the Sin City, or are you just pretty much hanging out in the sports book with Budweiser's?
Well, like on the Saturday of the games, I'll be in the sports book. But that Friday night, I'll sit down at the blackjack table a little bit, and I usually will go buy in just like $200 on craps just at one point during the weekend. But craps is like the ocean, man. It can be wonderful, but it can eat you alive so fast. So I won't if I lose 200 real quick, I'll be done with craps for the weekend. But UCF they do open on a Thursday against New Hampshire, and I get there the 30th. So,
and he's going to run for 265 against New Hampshire. Yeah, he's going to go 3-5 for 62 yards, 19 carries, 265, 4 touchdowns.
And because it's an FCS opponent, they probably won't have rushing yard prop for the game either. Doggone it. All right. Okay, let's talk about these wide receiver props for the SEC from our good friends at Bet Online. So what it is it's just odds to who will lead the league in receiving yards throughout the whole conference. So Luther Burden at Missouri, plus 250 favorite. And then the odds drop a lot. Trey Harris at Ole Miss, plus 700. Juice Wells at Ole Miss, plus 800. Dominic Lovett at Georgia, 11-1. Theo Weiss at Missouri, 18-1. Deion Burks, Oklahoma, 18-1. Squirrel White, 20-1 for the Vols. Isaiah Bond, 20-1. CJ, and by the way, Bond, no longer in Alabama, at Texas. CJ Daniels, LSU, 20-1. Barryon Brown, Kentucky, 25-1. Silas Bolden, Texas, 25-1. Nick Anderson, 25-1. Wow, I might be interested in Nick Anderson there. You know, he was the only player in the country to average more than 20 yards per catch and have 10 touchdown receptions last year. Nick Anderson, 25-1. That's a little interesting. LSU, Kyron Lacey, 25-1. Jeremy Bernard, Alabama, 25-1. Eugene Trey Wilson, Florida, 25-1. Okay, Ole Miss's Jordan Watkins and LSU's Xavier Thomas, both 33-1. Georgia's Colby Young, 45-1. Andrell Anthony in Oklahoma, 50-1. Wow, we got a lot more names. I don't think I'm going to read them all. I'm seeing it. I'm not going to. Dane Key, 80-1. I just don't know if they're going to throw the ball enough for that. But I think Dane Key is one of the best receivers in the SEC. All right, you got to play on what you think on any of this? Anything?
I got 2 plays. I'm going to play Burton Small because Missouri is going to win a lot of games, but I don't know how great their defense is going to be, and I believe in their quarterback. So I'm going to play him to hedge my other bet. Who'd you say was 11-1 at Georgia?
Dominic Lovett.
Okay. Now let's talk about Dominic Lovett is now about to be the bona fide one for an offense that's going to have a potential Heisman candidate quarterback. The next Georgia receiver you mentioned was at 50-1. So that divide tells me that Dominic Lovett is going to get a whole lot of targets from Carson Beck. And then I'm going to ask you, why did you have to use your Loretta Lynn voice when you said Squirrel White?
Because on the Tony Basilio show, the callers ask about Squirrel White.
Squirrel White. My daughter pitches softball, and she's been to a whole bunch of places with a whole bunch of folks who would call in the Tony Basilio show and say Squirrel White, and they almost universally say "Come on, Blue" when they're complaining to the umpire. So that's now what that's one of her mantras. Is if I'm sitting on a bucket catching her as she's pitching, and she doesn't like a call, she'll go, "Come on, Blue,"
and they'll go, "Tony." I will, and I love my guy Tony. He's been great to me through the years. Did a podcast with him for a couple football seasons. Love the guy. He's awesome. But I will say, it's a lot more fun to listen to Tony B when the Vols are struggling, and they're not struggling nearly as bad as they were for a long time. I mean, when they would lose to Florida, I would literally go listen to Basilio's show for hours.
Well, hey, the bell curve, the inverted bell curve of enjoyment in terms of like fandom and whatever else, when things are going great, there's still some enjoyment there because they're so delusional. When things are going terrible, it's unbelievably enjoyable because they want to burn the place down. Nobody wants 7-5. Hi, Jay Greeson, Auburn graduate. So yes, I mean this is
well done. 5-7, Brian Edwards, UF graduate.
Yeah,
5-7 last. 3 losing seasons in a row for the first time in 76 years. These are the times to try men's souls. Okay, look, I like your strategy there with Burden. I like your thought process with Lovett, who, by the way, last year 54 catches, 613 yards, and 4 touchdowns. But Ra-Ra's gone. Ladd McConkey's gone. Resume Jack Saint is gone. Bowers is gone. Ra-Ra is gone. I like your thinking. That's solid thinking there. I think Nick Anderson at 25-1 is interesting. I think Eugene Trey Wilson at Florida at 25-1 is interesting.
I find it not interesting at all that you did not mention an Auburn Tiger. Hello, Peyton Thorne.
Right. I'm trying to look for an Auburn Tiger. I'm sure there's one.
Hey, we need to be in and out of here in an hour. We're not going to have time for you to scan all the way down to, hey, look, it's Frank Thomas at minus 17,000.
Well, I found 2 Auburn guys, but I'm not seeing Cam Coleman.
Oh, Cam Coleman kills
like
it
I see
EA Sports 25. He's about to win the Heisman.
Why am I in your house?
Yes.
Why is there no Cam Coleman? Okay, I can't find him. All right. Anywho, let's move on to the other prop for the SEC, and that is the quarterback position. And obviously, it's the same deal. It's simply who's going to throw for the most yards in the SEC. And we've got, who would you guess the favorite would be?
I would probably say Jackson Dart because of the system, but it wouldn't shock me if it was Quinn Ewers. But my favorite pick on the board is Brady Cook.
Oh, you're going to like his odds. And Carson Beck is the plus 150 chalk. Ewers is plus 210. Jackson Dart plus 575. And Brady Cook, a very attractive plus 800. Nussmeier plus 850. Jackson Arnold 12-1. Nico 20-1. Jalen 25-1. Milrow, that is. Graham Mertz 40-1. Wigman 40-1. Blake Shapen 66-1. Taylor Green 75-1, Lenoris Sellers, South Carolina 100-1, along with Brock Vandegrift at Kentucky, Peyton Thorne 150-1, Diego Pavia 200-1. I agree with you. I think Brady Cook at 8-1. I think that is the most attractive, and I think the odds reflect that Nico and Jalen are going to be running the ball a lot, and and having very productive, dynamic offenses, but not necessarily with their passing yards compared to Beck, Ewers, Dart, and Cook, and maybe Arnold.
Well, and they're going to be double-digit favorites in probably half their games. Missouri's going to be favored in a lot of their
ball
games.
Late.
Right. So, I mean, I think they're going to – I think Missouri's going to have a whole lot of games not unlike their LSU loss last year. But I think they're going to win most of them. But it's going to be here we go, here we go, here we go. I mean, I think Jackson Dart may be a guy who's going to put up a ton of numbers because Lane Kiffin's going to throw the double middle fingers at everybody and be happy to do it. But one of the things
in his last year in Oxford.
Well, one of the things that is also changed, the Baxter injury, Texas may be looking at,
like you said,
hey, we're going to throw it first and fourth and foremost and keep up with us. So,
right.
But I can't believe Carson Beck's favored, to be quite honest. They've got a great running game.
Because you're thinking blowout.
They're gonna be up double digits in the second half. Kirby's conservative. Yeah. I mean,
that
doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
No, I agree. I agree. He probably will miss the most snaps in the second half of SEC starters because of blowouts, right?
Oh, I think that's 100% accurate. But I like Brady. I think your assessment on Milroe is accurate that they're going to run a lot. But then you also look up at Michael Penix in that offense for Kalen DeBoer.
He had a lot of yards.
A whole lot of stuff. I mean, at plus 2,000, that's worthy of a nibble.
No, he's 25-1. He's 25-1. Yeah, I mean, maybe it is worth a nibble. We'll see. Okay, so I like your remark about Cook in Missouri, about how, because we're going to talk about our favorite kind of review, what we've been talking about the last couple of months with these season win total previews. And if there's one that I'm kind of starting to have a little bit of buyer's remorse, it's that Missouri over 9.5, because, I mean, don't get me wrong, all my thought process, and I wrote like 2,500 words on it. You can find it at majorwager.com. My thought process, all that still exists. The easy schedule, the situational advantage they have when they go at Texas A&M, which I think is their second toughest game, but they get 2 weeks to prepare. A&M's coming off Arkansas. A&M's playing, I don't know, like their fifth game in 5 weeks or something to that effect. You can read it in my article. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, sixth game in 6 weeks, and Missouri's off a bye. But I'm just worried about Missouri's defense. I mean, they did lose their DC to LSU. In fact, they lost their top 2 defensive assistants, and they just lost a lot of talent off that defense. So that's kind of why I'm getting a little concerned about that one. But as we talk about our favorite win totals, I'm still so bullish on the Ole Miss Rebels to go over 9.5.
You and I are on the same page.
And you are too.
I think, and I think Lane is not only. There's the great story about the explorer Cortez, who, when he reached the islands, he set his boats on fire because he didn't want his crew to try to escape and go back. Lane Kiffin is about to everybody in the SEC because we don't know how much longer, we don't know where he wants to be. I don't necessarily think he's going to be Oxford, but he's about to just drop bombs. I mean, there's not an over bet. Let me rephrase that. There's not an under bet I would make about Ole Miss. Not win total, not points scored, not passing yards, not any of it. Sacks. I mean, he's just going to send the house, and I think they're in for a big year. And then I don't know. Did you say our friends at Bet Online had Coach of the Year numbers?
They have odds on the first coach fired. Hold on, let me go to these NCAA football specials.
Because I'm picking Lane. I'm laying money on Lane on Coach of the Year because I think he gets to Atlanta, and that's going to really kind of change everything. So
they. Oh wait, maybe okay. Hold on. Here's a bunch of awards, but Davey O'Brien, Biletnikoff, but no Coach of the Year. He's going to be a hell of a ball coach, HBC at the University of Florida, Lane Kiffin, that is. Going to be a hell of a ball coach for us. Yeah, I'm not seeing Coach of the Year for college, unfortunately. All right, so both of our favorite win totals are still Ole Miss, right?
No, I'm still yes, but I am also still high on Missouri. I think
no, I'm not going off it. I'm just not feeling as great about it. Go ahead. You go ahead.
I'm trying to think what was our biggest under. Was it maybe Kentucky?
South
Carolina? Yeah.
South Carolina for me.
Yeah.
South Carolina under 5.5. I mean, that schedule is just brutal for the Gamecocks. I mean, they're a 10-point underdog to LSU at home. They're going to be an underdog at Kentucky, but there's no games of the year line. They play Ole Miss at home. I don't think they win that. They're at Alabama and at Oklahoma in back-to-back weeks. They do get 2 weeks prep for A&M at home. I'll call that a swing game, but they'll be an underdog. They get Missouri at home.
Wow.
And they're at Clemson. I mean, there's just a lot of L's right there.
There really are. And then they're at Clemson, and Clemson I think Dabo's going to actually have a pretty good year this year. I mean, I kind of think he's
I hope they win the ACC. I hope they win the ACC. I hope he quits. Go ahead.
Well, I just kind of think
I hope he quits.
Quits what?
Or I'm sorry, I hope he continues to not use the portal, because I'm sure there's a lot of guys that he would get that the Floridas and the whoever wouldn't get because they go to Clemson. So I want him to have success now and keep doing your knucklehead nonsense where you don't need the portal. Keep doing that. All right, so go ahead. You got something.
I'm already on
the tip of your tongue.
No.
Okay.
Well, it would have embarrassed my family about my thoughts on Dabo. So I just decided I just was going to swallow. I was just going to keep it inside. No.
Probably good executive decision. But I knew you had something on the tip of your tongue, but you're going to keep it right there. All right. All right, let's wrap this bad boy up. Was there something else we didn't get to? So, yeah, Missouri and Ole Miss over, but I like the Ole Miss more. South Carolina under 5.5. I put a little baby play on A&M under 8.5, but I don't love it. Don't love it by any means.
I appreciate
maybe we have first time listeners.
I appreciate that, and I'm also on under. I mean, I have zero confidence in what Auburn's going to do, to be quite honest.
Right. I know another thing I did not get to that I want to hit on. There's been line movement for the week 0 game between FSU and Georgia Tech. So late Sunday afternoon, Circa out in Vegas moved FSU from a 13-point favorite to an 11.5-point favorite. The Westgate Superbook moved from 13 to 12 on Sunday, and then they went to 11.5 Monday morning. But okay, now DraftKings has actually moved from 13 to 12.5. So Circa and Westgate have FSU at 11.5. Most books are now at 12.5, and that thing's coming down. The total went from 55.5 to 56.5 on Tuesday. Why is that important? Multiple sevens or key numbers on totals. That's through a key number, but DraftKings still has 56. Our friends at Bet Online have FSU minus 12.5 and 56.5. So if you like the over, you better grab it now and maybe buy that half point at the key number of 56. Because it's 35-21. Yeah, 28, would never end 28-28, but 35-21 or 42-14. That's a 56 total there. So if you like the over, you better get on it. And if you like Georgia Tech, you better get that 12.5 while you can, because it seems that number is coming down. I got Georgia Tech at 14 early in the summer, but it was only a small play. Wish I'd put more on it. And I lean the over, but my accounts don't have the total up yet. But there's that. All right. Anything else you got, buddy?
Trying to do my best to find golden matchups in NFL preseason football, because I'm tired of losing.
You were going to ask me about. I hear you. I do not bet preseason football, and the reason why is because I don't want fourth stringers who are not going to make the roster determining whether I win or lose a bet in the fourth quarter. Now, are they throwing first half lines? I mean, I'm not going to bash anybody if they bet first half when they have good information that the starting quarterback's going to play most of the first half. I get all that. That's where you hopefully find an edge. I just don't trust these coaches who say they're going to play somebody this much, but might not end up.
Here's one thing that has been proven out over numbers. First-year coaches win 64% of their preseason games because it means more to them. They're trying to galvanize the locker room. They're trying to get people to believe in what they're spewing at the front of the podium. And so, that's where I'm going. And I'm trying to look to third and fourth string quarterbacks, not depth chart, because those guys are fighting for the last time to put on a helmet, or they're going to have to go sell State Farm insurance.
Right. Yeah. And I'm looking for tonight. They do have first half lines up for all three games. So maybe you can find an edge. They do not have first quarter. Oh, wait.
And see, I think the Falcons are going to
first quarter lines.
But I'm playing the Falcons tonight.
They have first quarter lines. So,
of course they do.
So I think yeah, well, I mean, you can find edges for first quarter lines, if or you confident on what the coach said that, a quarterback or first team offense is going to play in the first quarters. Okay. So I won't bash preseason betting. Well, I feel like when I would maybe think about it, back 10 years ago, they wouldn't throw up first half and first quarter lines. Things have changed.
They have. Hey, but you don't go changing to try to please me, Brian Edwards.
I'm not. Hey, everybody, check out my guy, Andy Ludecke, myperfectfranchise.net. Do all your betting at Bet Online. And for Jay Greeson, I'm Brian Edwards, Southeastern 16, bets and ball games. This one's in the books. We're getting close, folks. And we'll be back next week to talk more. We're out of here.